Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. A results roundup for 4 different fights from 3 cards around the world, or should I say USA, Germany and the UK. Frank Sanchez, he was on the Canelo undercard in the prelim portion. We'll start with him. Then moving to Jose Larduet. That one ended in a weird way. You had Mourad Aliev. Of course, it was going to go to a decision. Couldn't knock the skin off a rice pudding, but he did manage to drop Lazaridis, although Lazaridis was claiming that his foot got caught. And then you have a shock upset in the UK. Jeamie TKV, his real name, Jeamie Tshikeva, getting beaten after a nasty cut opened up from a punch against the only once beaten Igor Macedo. So we'll come to that and discuss it, because obviously that ends up throwing a spanner in the works for his burgeoning career. But Frank Sanchez facing Scott Alexander, who obviously was stopped in a round on a Canelo card a year and a half ago. I believe it was the first Dimitri Bivol fight. Got iced in a round, Alexander, facing Frank Sanchez on this Canelo undercard where he was facing Jermell Charlo. Bit of a weird fight, because you had Frank Sanchez, who was trying to be a bully boy early on, then getting absolutely rocked to his core, and here is the moment immediately after, and it looks like he's getting ready to jump on a surfboard or something. But yeah, for a couple of seconds he was certainly stunned, and I think for the rest of the round he was trying to shake that off. He was hurt for it, but for a couple of seconds, yeah, he was really sort of put into a blender. But from round 2 onwards, this only ended up going 4 rounds. Frank Sanchez a little bit more cautious, at least initially in that second round, and then he started to get a bit more confident, started to put Alexander back in his box, and ultimately towards the end of that 4th round just absolutely puts it on Alexander on the ropes, and manages to land a series of right hands. I think one of them ultimately kept him up. But what was happening, and we only saw this in the replay afterwards, was in the midst of this late round flurry, immediately before the bell, Alexander's corner had come up and signaled that, no, the fight's over. So after the end of the bell, the referee sees this from the commission, and it's waved off. So it goes 4 rounds. Frank Sanchez overcoming some adversity, but you got to say, I mean, they dug up Scott Alexander again, and maybe Sanchez a little bit cavalier, should have done better, not been so brave and just tried to walk through him, because ultimately he almost walked himself into a loss. He certainly took a big shot, short right hand. It was a beautiful shot from Alexander, punching with Sanchez, and Sanchez, yeah, almost, that could have been, if Alexander had followed up and landed a couple of notable other shots, could have been trouble for Sanchez. But he gets through this, advances to like 23-0 now, I believe, and I guess what are they going to do with him? And that's always the question, because people in his own stable at PBC don't want to fight him. But he's aligned himself with Team Canelo after having left Joe Goosen. He had a little sort of sojourn over there for a couple of fights. He's now back with Eddie Reynoso. I guess we'll see what's next in due course. But it's going to be a pretty pedestrian 2023, unfortunately, for old Frankie boy. Daniel Martz and now Scott Alexander. Not exactly a red letter year. Next fight, this in Germany, Jose Larduet, so the unbeaten Cuban who now fights on the Universum cards out of Germany. He was facing Larduat Tamm, and kind of interesting, because these guys, one, they look very similar. He looked like he was fighting his older or younger brother, whatever variation. Similar shorts, they look kind of the same facially as well, but ultimately you knew that this was with a record of 19-7 for Larduat Tamm. He was going to eventually probably get taken out. Pretty even and competitive first round. He looked like he was up for it, but the signs were worrying early on in the second round. It kind of looked like, oh yeah, I've put up enough resistance now, the white flag's going to go up. And he ended up getting clipped by a flurry of shots. He goes down, and the referee gives him a count. He beats it, and this is where the sort of strangeness comes in. Tamm just sort of starts meandering off to the side, in the ring towards, one of the corner. He was in the middle of the ring. He was sort of looking not at the fighter, not at the referee, just sort of walking away. Larduet sort of jumps in, throws a shot, no real shot of consequence, doesn't do any major damage or anything like that. But the referee sees that Tamm's not even looking, not even protecting himself, not even seemingly continuing to fight. And he goes, no, that's enough. I don't need to see any more. And it was all over. So strange ending to what was I guess, predictable sort of result. So Jose Larduet, he moves on. Hey, it's time for a step up. I mean, maybe they should be looking to make him versus Mourad Aliev at some point. Aliev also on the undercard. He actually got a better opponent in Evgeny Lazaridis, who generally is pretty durable. Goes rounds, good solid gatekeeper, maybe top 70, top 80 sort of level. Aliev's only got about 10 fights or so. So, perfect opponent for the stage of his career. Problem is for Aliev, when we make jokes about people having no power, Aliev would be, for a guy his height was 6'6", 6'7", southpaw, he's just got nothing on his shots at all. And the knockdown was a little bit dubious. Lazaridis claims actually he was, his foot had been stood on, and that's the reason he went down. On the replay, it kind of looked like he might have had something there. Obviously, knockdown counts. Scores, it's going to become a situation at a certain level. Mourad Aliev will be like guys like Otto Wallin and a few others. No power, so no stoppages, death, taxes, and a decision guaranteed. And this is what we got here. It ended up going the 10 rounds, and you had Mourad Aliev remaining unbeaten and hopefully, building towards something. Some of these Universum cards in the matchmaking hasn't been great for them, especially for Jose Larduet. He's kind of, going nowhere and fast. So the final fight that we're going to cover in this results roundup, so it was a Sky card in the UK. You had Jeamie Tshikeva against Igor Macedo, and maybe it was too much too soon. The 12-1 or 11-1 at the time, Macedo was actually pretty competitive. He was landing some shots, and he was in this fight having some success. And ultimately, round 6, it was a punch that came in and just absolutely exploded the eye of Jeamie Tshikeva. See here, this is the damage that was wrought by that punch, and immediately Shakiva sort of just stopped, backed off, looked to his corner. The referee automatically stops proceedings to have a look, and then it's all over, waved off. And Jeamie Tshikeva, burgeoning heavyweight prospect. He's been talking a lot of smack about some of his stablemates like Fraser Clark, and that he's ready for him now. He takes an L, the first loss of his career. I wonder what they're going to do. Is this something where we could see a rematch maybe in 6 or 9 months when the eye's healed up and he's ready to go again? I don't know. I think at some point he needs to make it right. Arguably some people would say fight could have continued maybe, but look at the eye. It's pretty bad. I know we've seen sometimes this go on more, but the referee, for fighter safety, he took that into account here. And for Shakiva, Jeamie TKV, it's obviously not the news that he wanted, but that just exploded. And yeah, okay, we'll have to see where Jeamie Tshikeva goes from here. Early setback in his career, something that wasn't expected, a bit of a shock loss, but I guess he can go away, he can work on things, try to tighten up his defense, and we'll see what's next for TKV. Obviously probably a trip to the plastic surgeon first. If you caught these fights, what do you make of it all? And does it surprise you the likes of Larduet not being matched tough, Frank Sanchez overcoming, getting rocked to his core, and Aliev, death, taxes, and another decision? Drop a comment, loud and often, hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.